Hey, Tim Schatz here with C4D Training. I've got a little tutorial here today on how to use the cloner object along with a couple of effectors. Let me show you what it is we're going to be doing. So we have a little table that slides in, and then we have the lamps kind of bounce down above the table. Go ahead and close that. So I have my little scene set up here just to save some time. I have my table null, which contains a cloner object, and in my cloner I just have a cube, and my cloner just has a single clone. Then I have a null called lights, and inside of that a cloner object with another null that is my lamp. If I open that up, you can see my lamp consists of a cylinder, which is the tube that comes down from the ceiling, little sphere just as a detail there at the top, and the cone for the shade. And then I just made the cone editable and deleted the bottom of it so that I had this open sort of lampshade shape. And then I just put a light inside of it to be the light for the lamp. The cloner object for the lights I just have set to linear and set to a count of 3. So let's go ahead and affect these guys. I have my cloner object selected, so if I go up to Mograph and select the plane effector, it should automatically add that to my list of effectors, and sure enough, there it is. So I'm going to go ahead and take that plane effector and drop it into my lights null just to keep things a little bit better organized. And now if I select my plane effector and I come down here to the transform parameters, instead of 100 meters, I'm going to go ahead and make that 400 meters, and that's going to push them up out of the scene so I don't have to look at them for now. And then the next thing we're going to do is go over here to our fall off tab, and by default the fall off shape is set to infinite. I'm going to go ahead and set that to linear because I want to create a wall that comes along, and as it comes along and passes the object will no longer be affected by this plane effector. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera using this little icon here, and now I can maneuver around my scene. So I can maneuver around my scene now, and I can always go back to my camera angle that I want to render. So I'm going to turn that off so I can see what I'm doing here. As you can see, here's my fall off for the plane effector. It kind of looks like a TIE fighter from Star Wars, but it's facing the wrong way. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate that 90 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and take my rotate tool, hold down shift, and rotate that to 90 degrees. So now if I change my scene, alright, so now to enable these things to drop down, we need to move that fall off. So I grab my move tool, and as I drag this along the x-axis, these guys drop down. So all I need to do is animate my plane effector. So if I select my plane effector, I'm going to bring my time indicator back to the beginning, and I'm going to go to coordinates, and I'm moving it along the x-axis, so I'm going to go ahead and hold down control and click on that. Then we'll go ahead and move our timeline indicator down to the end, and I'm going to take my fall off and move it down to the other side, and then all I have to do is control click on that again. So now if I rewind this, it moves and we see our guys drop down. There we go. So now if I switch back to my camera, we can see from the camera angle, looks a little better because we don't see the lights before they drop down. There we go. Okay, but we still don't have the bounce that I promised. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and select our cloner object, and we're going to go up here to Mograph, and we're going to select the delay effector. And again, I'm going to put my delay effector into my lights null just to keep everything organized. And again, because I had my cloner object selected, when I selected the delay effector, it should have added it, and it did. There's our plane effector and our delay effector. And we want to make sure that we have them in that order, plane effector first and then delay effector. So now I'm going to come up here to my delay effector, and there's really only one thing I need to change. If I go to my Effector tab, and here where it says Mode, by default it's set to Blend. I want to go ahead and set that to Spring. That's all I need to do. So now if I rewind this and I play, they bounce in. There they go. And strength here determines how much they bounce. So 50% is default, and usually that looks pretty good. I could make them go crazy by putting it up here to 90%, and now they're going to bounce all over the place. They almost hit the table there. But if that's what you're looking for, you can adjust the strength. So I might actually set this down to about, I don't know, 65%. Let's see how that looks. That's pretty good. So now I want to do the same thing with my table. We're pretty much done with the lights for now. So now we're going to move on to the table. Here's our cloner object with just a single clone for the table. Now I'm going to go ahead up to Mograph and select Plane Effector. And under my parameter, I don't want this going on the Y direction because that would make the table go up. I want to make it go to the left, so that's going to be on the X axis. So let's go ahead and set the Y axis to 0. And I want the table to go off to the left, which would be in negative direction. So make sure it goes way off to the left. I'm going to make it go negative 2100 meters. So now it's off the stage. And again, I want to keep my stuff organized, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my plane effector and drop it into my table null so that everything is here together. And again, I'm going to go ahead and switch off my camera for now so that I can kind of see where things are. So here's my table way over here on the left. So on my plane effector here, I'm going to go to my fall off tab, and by default, my shape is set to infinite. So I'm going to pull that down and drop it to linear. And again, I get my little TIE fighter here. And again, by default, it comes in kind of facing the direction that I don't want it in. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here and select my rotate tool and rotate this guy 90 degrees. And then select my move tool. Move this guy back here a little bit. Zoom out here. And as I slide that over, you can see my table comes in. There we go. So now all we have to do is animate this fall off again. So if we go here to our plane effector and we select the coordinates, currently it is set at negative 1200. And I'm going to go ahead and keyframe that. And then we're going to come down here to the end of our timeline. And we're going to move our fall off over, and then we will keyframe it again. So now if I rewind this and we play it, there goes our table sliding in. Timing is a little bit off, but we can fix that. Go ahead and rewind this. So while we're working on our table, we'll go ahead and add our delay effector to create the bounce for the table. So we go up here to Mograph. Again, I have my cloner object selected. We're going to go up here to Mograph. We're going to come down to delay effector. And again, if I select on my cloner and go to the Effectors tab, there's my delay effector underneath my plane effector. And again, for tidiness sake, I'm going to go ahead and grab my delay effector and put that into the null with the table. So now if I select my delay effector and I go to Effector and select Mode, Spring, so if I rewind this now and we play it, the table bounces in. So now we've taken care of all of the transitions in and their bouncing. And now all we need to do is adjust our timing a little bit. And I think I'm going to make the table bounce quite a bit more. So let's see, let's do like 85% and see how that looks. Whoa, that's kind of a little crazy. So we'll dial that down maybe to 75. That should work. Take a look at that real quick. That's good. All right, so now let's work on the timing of it a little bit. We definitely want the table to come in first, so that's working out right now. So we're going to look at the lights, and we're going to look at our effector here. And so our keyframes are here at the end and here at the beginning. So I'm going to drag this guy down here a little bit so he comes in a little bit later. And I want it to happen faster, so I'm going to kind of scrunch them together a little bit. So go ahead and rewind, and there we go. Table taking a little bit long to come in. So let's select our table, open that up, come down to our plane effector, and again our keyframes beginning and end. So I'm gonna bring that guy way down here because I want it to come in fast at the beginning. So there's table and the lamps. Table, lamps. So let's switch to our camera and see how that looks through our camera. So we'll go ahead and rewind this and hit play. There we go. So now we have the bouncy table and the bouncy lights. Alright, so that's it for this tutorial. A little demo on how to use the delay effector and plane effector with the cloner object to make bouncy furniture. Kind of like those bouncy houses you get at parties. But, okay, not really. Thanks for watching. I'm Tim Schetz with C4D Training. I'll see you later.